Hello and welcome to Odds Serie A Match Day 8. What a Serie A. We have new leader, as you know, Milan. 1 point more than Inter, Napoli and Roma, but we have Napoli-Inter this Saturday, and Napoli, I would say, Leo, in crisis. If you are losing away in Torino, if you are thrashed in the Champions League 6-2 in Eindhoven, I think the alarms are ringing in Conte's head, I'm sure.
Absolutely, Edu. And look, if someone tells you, if I tell you Napoli lost 6-2 in the Champions League, but you don't know who they were facing, probably you would never think it was PSV. And that tells you a lot about the footballing crisis they are on for the first time under Antonio Conte.
Exactly. I mean, getting thrashed is never good, but if you do it against PSG, Arsenal is understandable. Against PSV, there are no excuses, especially with the team suffering a lot away from home. Let's see if they react at home. In the Partita Scudetto, it's early days, but these are the two favorites to win the title, Napoli and Inter, although the bookies now place Milan ahead of Napoli in the outright market for this Serie A. So let's not waste any time, guys. Remember to press the like if you enjoy our show, subscribe, and now let's go on with the show. And for Friday, we have the leaders. Leo, surprising leaders, Milan playing at home against Pisa. It should be a comfortable game in the comeback of Gilardino to San Siro, but this Pisa is going to struggle a lot. 3 games without scoring. They are still winless. Milan was far from brilliant against Fiorentina, a boring game, saved by Leao, a player who was not important until now in the season. And I guess into the negatives, we should put Santi Jimenez theater in the penalty, and also Pulisic injured.
Yes, well, the Pulisic not having Pulisic because his injury is a big one. It's massive for Allegri and for Milan. But look, Edu, I mean, what matters at the moment is that the Rossoneri are top of the table after such a long year. Was the best we have seen from them this season? Well, definitely not. I mean, we spoke how surprisingly entertaining Max Allegri's side has been. However, with Fiorentina, we saw probably the version of Max Allegri's Milan that we could have expected before the start of the campaign. The pressure was on them. Maybe it was that as well, because on Sunday, before kickoff, they knew that Roma, Napoli, and Juventus have all lost their games, so the opportunity was there for them to go to the top. But as you said, Pulisic, and it's more than Pulisic, because to be fair, the amount of injured players that Max Allegri has to deal with conspire to see probably the best form of this Milan. Adrian Rabiot, who gelled straight away into the team, he was out injured. Pulisic again, as we said, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Nkunku, Pervis Estupiñán. 3 of those 5 players are all starters, and Pulisic not only a starter but the best player for this side in the last 2 years. So of course Milan will feel the absence. On the positive side, I would say as well, is that they won it from behind, Edu, and they won it from behind in the second half, because Robbie Gosens' goal for Fiorentina was I think 10 minutes into the second half. But before that, Milan did not create good chances. The best of them have been with the defenders, Tomori and Pavlovic after set pieces. But the man of the night, yes, of course, Rafa Leao with his brace. The second one with that penalty, which, look, DAR, we all know it should have been there, or supposed to be there for the clear and obvious, and nothing of sort happened with that penalty call. Leao play as a number 9. We talked last show that Allegri, at least so far, sees him playing as a striker. But he played his best when Santi Jimenez came on, because he had more room to operate, freedom to drop to the sides, and hopefully this could be the catalyst for him to see the best of Leo back again. This is the first time that Milan has been top of the Serie A since Matchday 8 in the 2023-2024 season. So these are days to enjoy for the Rossoneri. And to open Matchday 8 with Pisa at home is giving them the chance to stay there for another week. And why not try to build the momentum with this Pisa, which is bottom of the table, winless, and with nothing to take from their 0-0 against Verona. On the road, 1 draw and 2 defeats for Pisa. My take here, Edu, Milan Asian handicap minus 1.5 for Milan, odds of 1.90.
It should be a comfortable win. And for Saturday, we have 4 games. Parma, Como, one of the most informed teams in Serie A right now, 12 points in European spots. And of course, 𝗀𝗵𝗄𝘀 is the person highlighting in Cesc Fabregas' team. They beat Juventus, the Argentinian 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, and it's only 1 defeat this season, not far from Parma, actually. In Bologna, Parma, 6 points, only 1 win this season. And of course, Leo, we are going to speak a lot about the goalless draw. Parma drew last weekend in one of the most boring weekends in Italy. We have to say, a lot of nil-nil results.
Well, Edu, I will tell you a stat regarding how, in a way, was boring Matchday 7 in Italy in Serie A. 11 goals only scored on Matchday 7. The worst goal scoring record since teams get 3 points for a win. So that tells a lot. I mean, we needed 4 goals in Cremonese Udinese to avoid this record. Of course, no one expected 4 goals in Cremonese Udinese, and we didn't get that on Monday night. So yes, the worst possible match day was last weekend. 𝗀𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀 is the name, Edu. It was a kind of game como Juventus, in which was advertised 𝗀𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀 against 𝘀𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, and the Argentinian was the one clearly winning that showdown. It was the first win of Como against Juventus in nearly 70 years. I don't know what's the ceiling for Paz, but we are likely to find out once he's again a Real Madrid player next year. In the meantime, we all must enjoy his football in Serie A. Personally, I like more his assist for the first goal than his goal. The perfect pace he gave to the ball in that cross, the curve that he gave to the ball, fantastic. I still believe that he could be even more involved in games, but his personality is like that. He won't be demanding the ball all time. Fabregas mentioned his physicality as well, and let me tell you that he works a lot as well to press and to gain the ball back. He could be so good with Xabi Alonso, who really likes players who also are not so talented, but that are not just talented, but that they can work a lot off the ball. It reminds me a little bit of Martin Odegaard in that regard, of how much he works off the ball. Como, let's not forget, Edu is doing all this as well without Assane Diao, who did great for them last season after arriving from Betis in January. He's been out for 6 months, and this week, hopefully, he will start training again with the squad, and hopefully he is going to be back soon again. Talking about strikers, Alvaro Morata haven't scored yet in 8 games since joining Como, but Fabregas said that he couldn't care less of Morata scoring, because he's doing what he's been asked to do, and no one in the squad can do what the European champions can do can bring for Como. We are going to have a face-to-face of between 2 young Spanish managers, with Fabregas and Carlos Cuesta. Cuesta was a happy man after the 0-0 away from home with Genoa, especially because they played 60 minutes with 10 men after NDIA was shown a red card in the first half. That prompted Parma to defend with 4 at the back for the first time under Cuesta, and the team responded quite well, mostly because Sion Suzuki, their goalkeeper, who was born in the United States but represents Japan, is likely, was man of the match. and it's likely he's going to have to work a lot again against 𝗀𝗵𝗄𝗀𝗀 next Saturday. Look, Edu, the odds on X2 are quite good on 𝗀𝗵 to win, odds of 2.1. But my take here is individual market. He's in form, he's on fire. 𝗀𝗵𝗄𝗃 to score or to assist anytime, odds of 2.75.
Next one is Udinese Lecce, one of these games that look like a draw. Both drew last weekend. At least Udinese scored a goal against Cremonese in the middle of the table, winless in 4. And Lecce, we have to say that they are kind of all right in the last games. They've collected 5 points in the last 3 games.
Yes, Edu. And look, I also believe that this is a game that could easily go for the route of a draw. Udinese drew their game away with Cremonese on Monday night. They weren't, to be honest, much better than what we have seen from Lecce as well on the weekend. After they enjoyed 2 consecutive wins, Udinese on Matchday 2 and Matchday 3, remember, against Inter and Pisa. From there is 2 defeats and 2 draws for them. Nicolo Zaniolo, at least, first goal for Udinese this season against Cremonese. And I can't see many goals as well happening in this one. For Lecce, Santi Pierotti did well on the right at times. Actually, was his cutback crosses which provided the best opportunity for Lecce in the draw. Nikola Stulic, the number 9, the only chance he had in the whole game was created by himself. He got possession back almost halfway line. He dribbled with the ball. He shot on goal, and the ball was not too far from the right post. And that's the story of Lecce. They're not gonna provide the chances for their number 9. Stulic or Camarda, they need to look for their own chances. It's very difficult for this team, of course, to score, and I don't see that happening as well in Udine. We're gonna see probably Udinese pushing from the start, and then at the end of the game, I can't see X1, X2. That's why a draw is a very good chance in here. But they're gonna go for the corners market here. Corners under 7.5 in a game in which Lecce won't attack almost at all, in which Udinese is gonna push a little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end. So the odds are good for corners under 7.5, odds of 3.45, Edu.
Of course, also check the draw, perhaps even a goalless draw. Why not? Pace 10, the goalless draw in this game. Napoli-Inter is the next one. Great game. Partita Scudetto, very important for the title. Both level on points with 15 points. When Inter lost to Juventus, we didn't think that this was going to happen, but now they are favorites again to win the title, with 𝗀𝗵𝗄 changing completely the tendency of this team. It was a spectacular win in the Champions League. It was not in Roma, but still, with some absentees, they were able to take all 3 points from the 𝗀𝗵𝗄𝗀. And Esposito, a player that you mentioned in our last videos, is also delivering and scoring, in this case, in the Champions League. The opposite for Napoli, Leo, suffering a lot when they are traveling, back-to-back defeats in Torino, but especially the ugly one in Eindhoven. And, last 3 meetings between these 2 teams were draws.
Yes, Edu, and look, we had a very upset Antonio Conte in Turin, and even more upset Conte in Eindhoven. And not only because Napoli lost 2 of the last 3 Serie A games, and now 2 of their 3 Champions League matches, but the capitulation against PSV. I mean, we saw a team with no heart, and that for Conte for sure must have been the most painful aspect. I mean, to put in context the situation, the 2 defeats in the last 3 Serie A games for Napoli is as many defeats they suffered in the previous 31 games in the Serie A. Yes, against Turin there was a chance for Lorenzo Luca up front. Actually, Lorenzo Luca, who got a red card against PSV, he's having a terrible start of his career in Napoli after his move from Udinese, which I thought, to be honest, he was going to be good for this side. We're gonna see in the future if things change for Lorenzo Luca. He started in Turin alongside Neres, and they both did not grab the chance. Conte was actually very annoyed because for him, his attacking trio, when you add Spinazzola to Neres and Luca, was too busy trying to be pretty. Those are the words used by Conte, instead of to be efficient. The concern should be also the way this team defends. I'm not saying this only because the game with the PSV. Conte's side has conceded 9 goals in the Champions League in 3 games, and 7 goals conceded in the last 5 Serie A games. That is 1 less that they had managed in the previous 15 matches in Serie A. Napoli is suffering a lot with transitions when they lost the ball in attack. Torino could have made it 2-0 in the first half. With PSV, we saw more of the same. The team suffering in transition. In that regard, they are missing 𝗀𝗵𝗀𝗀 every time he's out injured. Like now, he's the one who is always where he needs to be, and there is no other defensive midfielder who is reading the game as good as him in the team. Scott McTominay, we were talking that he was not having a good start of the season, and finally scoring 2 in the Champions League, but 2 goals, 2 in the end, which did not count for almost nothing because of the 6-2 in Eindhoven. And for Inter, those 2 defeats in the first 3 games are now completely forgotten. Yes, the win in the capital left them just 1 point from the top. I agree with you, Edu. In fairness, Roma deserved the point. They have done enough in the second half to equalize. But with the win last night in Belgium, we are talking of a team that they are now on 7 consecutive wins in all competitions. In those 7 wins, they have scored 18 times and conceded just 2. And all of that after they conceded 4 in that defeat with Juventus for 3. Manuel Akanji has brought calmness, I believe, and has adapted straight away to the back 3 with Chervi and with Bastoni. In attack, Boni is doing well to replace Thuram. 2 goals in 3 starts for him. He will keep playing as Thuram will be out at the Diego Maradona, although Esposito did well as well against Union Saint-Gilloise and also scoring. The best for Giroud is that we are seeing a team that is we are seeing hunger again in Inter, Edu, and that's fair play to him. He has created the bond with the players in a short time, as we have seen at the Olimpico, in the way the players were celebrating with him. We are not seeing an Inter side constantly building from the back as with Inzaghi, but the more vertical Inter that tries to press often high. Capello said something very interesting about this. That when the players pass the ball back or horizontally, they end up like running away from responsibility. But with Giroud asking them to go forward and to play vertically as much as possible, he's holding the players accountable. So that's, I think, was a good point from Fabio Capello. Like not in Saudi all times, but Inter really favorite here. The goals under 2.5 is at 1.75. But I go with that route of Inter being the favorite. So my take, Edu, Inter draw, no bet, odds of 1.75.
Okay, they are the favorites also for the bookies. 2.5 for the win. Napoli's 3.10. Let's check out what the smart bet is telling us, the AI of Oddspedia, and we can see total corners under 10.5 is the top bet, and then, well, a strange double chance because it's home and away team, and total goals over 1.5. Odds are 1.36. Still, the odds are very low, so the AI, Leo, is sitting on the fence, and they don't want to take any risks. And the last game on Saturday is Cremonese, Atalanta, yep. 2 teams that draw a lot in this Serie A. Atalanta 5 draws, still undefeated. Cremonese 4. Atalanta actually is the only team undefeated now in Serie A. Yep. They drew with Lazio, Como, and Juve in the last games. And Cremonese, Leo, I guess is positive if you keep getting points, adding points to the standings, even if they are winless in 5.
Yes, absolutely, Edu. And it was good as well in Cremonese. We finally saw, we have seen Jamie Vardy starting for the first time this season. No many chances for him, and to be honest, I'm really looking forward for him to score in the Serie A. That should be a nice celebration for him. Well, as I told you before, I mean, no one would have expected that Cremonese Udinese were going to deliver the 4 goals needed to avoid that worst goal scoring record in the Serie A. Cremonese scored first in the first half. Actually, after 3-4 minutes into the game, they couldn't hold it too long in the second half. But also they haven't suffered after Zaniolo equalized for Udinese. Franco Basket hit the post with a free kick towards the end, so they could have even won it. But the most important for them is not they look at the table. They are 10th, 6 points away from the red zone, and that's what really matters for them at the moment. And for Atalanta, yes, the only team undefeated so far with that 0-0 with Lazio, which, I mean, the first half we could have jumped it altogether because nothing happened. It was dreadful, that first half between Atalanta and Lazio, but the second part was different. Atalanta played well. They created very good chances. Provedel ended up being the MVP in Bergamo. Ademola Lookman first started in Serie A for him this season. He had 2 very good opportunities, one of them a header by the goal line almost, and he couldn't score. Ajanor, the center back, had another good chance. Apacosta hit the post. They are playing Champions League again against Slavia Praga on Wednesday night, so we're gonna see the level of Ivan Jurij's team on that game too. But the closer they play to the level of the second half with Lazio, the closer they will be to the 3 points against Cremonese. But still, I wouldn't go 𝗀𝗵𝘄 anyway in here. I will go Cremonese first half. Cremonese first half, double chance, also of 1.67.
Leo, games on Sunday, Torino, Genoa. This is another one to look for a draw. Torino only beating big teams in this Serie A, Napoli and Roma, with Simeone scoring. Is the only 2 wins this season. And of course, they are favorites to beat Genoa. Only 3 points, still winless. They drew in the last game with Parma, but look at the low scoring games. Only 3 goals scored, only 9 goals conceded.
Yes, and probably goals are not going to be present in this one neither, in Turin, with this Torino Genoa. Was the best win of Marco Baroni's era, I would say, against Napoli. Last Saturday, another 1-0 with Giovanni Simeone scoring, as it happened with Roma. This one he did not want to celebrate. Everyone remember he told that he was crying for hours when he learned he had to leave Napoli, but then he smiled when he saw how much he was going to get paid anyway in Torino. El Cholito received a standing ovation from both supporters. He has 2 goals in the last 2 games and 3 goals overall this campaign. He already scored more goals than in the last 2 seasons, and with one more he will equal the tally of 3 seasons ago when he scored 4 for Napoli in 2022-2023 season. So these are good days for El Cholito, not so much for his father after what happened in London with Arsenal. It was the second win of the season for the Granata. Both came against league leaders because by Saturday Napoli and Roma were still leaders. Baroni keeps having a good record against Antonio Conte. He won 3 and lost 1 in 5 games. Every time he played against him. Conte and Baroni were once teammates actually, also during the playing days. Torino almost suffered again on added time because remember that with Lazio they lost 2 points way after the 95th minute, and Napoli had the equalizer denied in the 94th minute because of the VAR. And on the other side, Genoa, yes, one of the 4 teams still winless in this area. With Parma, they played 11 against 10 for 60 minutes. And again, as well, they couldn't take the 3 points. Fair enough, they made Parma's goalkeeper MVP of the game. He even saved the penalty from Max Cornet on added time. And the pressure is mounting on Patrick Vieira, but I don't think will make much sense to get rid of him as well. For Genoa on the road is 1 draw and 2 defeats. But my take here is to look, all home games for Torino have been both teams to score no, and I'm taking that route in this Torino-Genoa, both teams to score no, odds of 1.7.
Indeed, Sassuolo Roma is the next one. A strange team, this one from Gasperini. Really low scoring games for Roma, only 3 goals conceded, only 7 goals scored, 2 defeats at home.
Yeah.
In Serie A, +1 in the Europa League, all coming at home. This is also odd because Roma, historically, they are very strong at home, but they have a big problem, Leo, and is up front. Gasperini tried with Dybala as a number 9 against Inter. It didn't work. 𝗀𝗵𝗄𝗀 is misfiring a lot. Ferguson hasn't scored yet, so of course there is a problem there. Only 1 game was both teams to score for Roma, and now they have to go to Sassuolo, newly promoted team, and win to stay in the top 4. Sassuolo, 10 points and not in a bad run at all at the moment.
Yes, and probably the same that I said about Cremonese. The best part of Sassuolo is they're looking at the table and they're looking down and they are comfortable, Edu. And for Roma, when you mentioned Paulo Dybala as a false 9 starting against Inter, on that other defeat at home as well at Olimpico against Torino, how did Gasperini build his team? With Dybala as a false 9? And the same happened this time. I mean, what's the point to have Dybala as a false 9 if you're going to end up crossing the ball constantly, as it happened in the first half, with no player capable of fighting in the air with 𝗀𝗻𝗄𝗏, Akanji and Bastoni? I mean, the idea of having Dybala would be for him to drop and someone like Pellegrini to make runs inside the box, but Pellegrini was always standing on the left, never making those runs. In the second half, with the introduction of 𝗀𝗵𝗄𝗏, we saw a much livelier Dybala. 𝗀𝗵𝗄𝗏 missed an incredible as well chance with a header after an assist from Soulé. But the second half was good from Roma. 1-1 should have been the result. The last 10 minutes, Gasperini tried with Ferguson and 𝗀𝗵𝗄𝗏 together, but by that time already Dybala and Soulé were not in the pitch to serve them. Leon Bailey finally made his debut in the last 15 minutes, and he looked good. He looked sharp, Leon Bailey, the Jamaican player. It was strange to see Wesley, the Brazilian right back, playing on the left, but the absence of Angelino reshuffled a little bit things for Gasperini and for Roma. Mario Hermoso and Ndika in different defensive roles, with Celik as a right wing back. That's why they switch Wesley to the left. The problem for Roma is still that the same. Is, as you mentioned, they can't score enough. They have 7 goals in 7 games. In the top 11 in the standings, 10 teams have scored more than the giallorossi. Sassuolo getting a point. On the other hand, in Via del Mare, in a game they had almost no chances to score. Only apart from Domenico Berardi had a shot on goal in the second half, but no more than that. But they have 10 points. They are 9th in the table, so it's all good for Fabio Grosso's team. 2 wins and 1 draw in the last 3 for them. But for Roma away, is 3 wins in 3 games so far, with 4 goals scored and 1 goal conceded. And with this Roma on the road, which seems to be doing better or playing with less pressure, I'm taking that route. Roma to win, 1.85 for me.
Let's see if they are able also to change this tendency, or at least also they score some goals. Next one, Verona, Cagliari. Here we shouldn't expect a great show. Verona, only 2 goals scored, still winless in this Serie A with 4 points, drew away with Pisa, and Cagliari 8 points, lost to Bologna, Leo, also without scoring.
Yes, and I mean, who was more difficult to watch, Verona or Cagliari on Matchday 7? Probably I would say Verona, but Cagliari was much better against Bologna than Verona against Pisa. At least Verona can brag that they got away with a point. The caveat, of course, being that they faced Pisa, bottom of the table, and Cagliari had to deal with Bologna. Verona sitting just 1 point above the relegation zone with 4 points, winless so far. Cagliari doubles them in points and in wins. Cagliari had a goal disallowed when the game was still 0-0, but not much more from them in Sardinia. Most of the game in the second half was shocking to see how difficult it was for Cagliari to create anything. This continues to be a team that the best they offer in attack is usually with set pieces, with 𝗀𝗻𝗄. But in that department, let's see, because 𝗀𝗻𝗄 actually got injured against Bologna, so he's in doubt for this game away to Verona. But if I'm complaining about Cagliari and their lack of creativity, what to say, of course, about Verona in that the same department, but we are used to with them, not just this season, but the previous one and the one before as well. Every time I watch a Verona goalless draw, it's like I feel that no one is going to ever give me back those 2 hours of my life. Goals under 2.5 here at 1.55, but I will go further with my pick, goals under 2, odds of 1.93. That's my take.
Kind of a safe bet, hard to watch. This one also suffering the fans, the tifosi from Fiorentina. Fiorentina-Bologna is the next one, 3 points. Only Fiorentina in relegation spots, no wins. Also, only 5 goals scored. They took the lead in Milan, but they ended up losing, very angry with the referee, and they are especially bad at home in the Artemio Franchi. 3 defeats with all the games, by the way. Both teams to score, I guess, Leo, the works that are taking place in the stadium are not helping the team, and Bologna, on the other hand, is one of the most informed teams in Serie A, so I'm kind of surprised by these really high odds for Bologna. We have exactly the same odds to back Fiore or Bologna. I would take Bologna all the time.
Absolutely, and to be honest, anticipating already my tip, Bologna to win. With those odds, Edu, I will take it all the way. I mean, with the crisis they are Fiorentina with the Stefano Pioli at the moment. I mean, it's weird because the crisis got a little bit deeper after the defeat in San Siro, but at the same time, probably was the best they have played so far in the season. Nothing extraordinary, nothing at all. But for 55 minutes, they look all right. They look at least a team with order. But after they scored the first one with the Gosens, it's like they dropped and they lost concentration. And from there, Milan took the game on their hands. And Milan, without being brilliant, they still were better than Fiorentina to win it in the end from behind. You know that after the game, Fiorentina's sporting director was publicly reassuring everyone that Pioli is the man to take them out of the situation, that no one is better prepared for this moment than him. But the reality in football is that the moment directors talk publicly about the continuity of the manager is usually short-lived. That usually happens everywhere. We will see what happens once again. But with Bologna is crucial for Fiorentina, and these Rossoblù have won 3 of the last 4 Serie A games, scoring 6, conceding none in the last 2 match days. Orsolini, no matter if he starts or if he comes from the bench, he scores 5 goals in 7 games for him. 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏 is already the one we saw last season behind the striker. He can arrive to the box very well as well. He can give the last pass as well very well. He's a very good player. Federico Bernardeschi, for whom I had doubts myself, is doing well, and it was actually his shot on goal which ended in a corner, and from that corner the opening goal for Bologna in Sardinia. Vincenzo Italiano is building again a team that can fight for European spots. My take, as I said at the beginning, Bologna to win 2.7.
Really, really good odds. Of course, if you want to be a little bit cautious, you could go for the Asian handicap 0 for Bologna as well. And last game is Lazio Juve, Tudor is in danger. We don't know what Juventus are going to do against Real Madrid, but the defeat against Como looked really bad. Also, the draws with Milan and Atalanta, where Juventus deserved to lose, especially against Milan, put Tudor in danger, and Lazio is not a good stadium for him. So the Lazio players will be eager to win this game and sack Tudor. Lazio, on the other hand, Leo, are not also in a great form. They are not doing a great season. Drew with Atalanta and Torino in the last games, and is another team, and spectacular. Only one game, both teams to score.
Yes, and you know, Edu, now that you mentioned Juventus playing at the Bernabeu, I was thinking that even if they win, it could happen. I mean, probably in one game out of 10, this Juventus will defeat Real Madrid in the Bernabeu. But last season, Milan also won at the Bernabeu. Remember, 3-1 with the Reinders having a great game. And Paulo Fonseca was sacked 2 months after that. So even if they manage to win at the Bernabeu, I mean, things are difficult for Tudor. I mean, the media in Italy is giving Tudor the next 6 games to save his career in Juventus. And who knows, maybe he's going to save it, because after Lazio in the capital, they're going to be facing Udinese and Cremonese on Matchday 9 and Matchday 10, 2 games which, okay, we expect them to win. But the times are tough for Juventus and for Tudor in particular, who is not the greatest to communicate, I would say, usually taking on the players, like saying that Juventus shirt is heavy one, and he's working on that with the players. The feeling is that a game in the Bernabeu, yes, comes at the worst time for him. Max Allegri, during his time at Juventus, I remember after he celebrated his 400 games with the club, told the story that he used to guess badly the opposition starting lineup, but he later understood that the most important thing for him was to get his starting 11 correct. And I have the feeling that Tudor sometimes seems to be failing in that he chooses the wrong starting 11 for Juventus. And now Lazio, that since that defeat with Roma in the Derby della Capitale, is 1 win and 2 draws. In Bergamo, the second half, yes, was poor. To be honest, Atalanta deserved to win, I mentioned before. And Matteo Cancellieri got injured after only 20 minutes. So there are more headaches as well for Sarri in this Lazio. However, this Juventus invites the opposition to dream. And my take is Lazio double chance 1.62.
Okay, Leo, this is it in our Serie A. There are no games on Monday because we have midweek games next week, so we will be back with the Serie A twice next week, hopefully. So, Leo, as always, I want to remind you that we have our tipster competitions going on. It's completely free to participate, and you can win some cash prizes. And, of course, check out Rivals, where you can create your own tipster competition. Leo, let's go with your safe bet.
Milan to win, 1.32.
And the ACCA?
Milan Asian Handicap, minus 1.5. Parma Como, goals over 1.5. Roma to win. These 3 together, odds of 4.7.
Thank you, Leo. See you next week. Bye-bye.